Okay, everybody, welcome. Welcome to Inception Sales Club Weekly, live from Bali, Sunday evenings, UK time. This is Paul Atherton, UK #1 sales coach, coming to you with Inception Sales Club Weekly, Hour of Idea. So, welcome Inception Sales Club members. And for those of you who are with us today and you're not yet members of the Inception Sales Club, I'll be dropping a link for you to join free during the session. Okay, so purpose of these weekly free sales coachings is to help my connections, my LinkedIn connections, to sell with less effort, to get more people buying from them as their own idea. So for you to get your prospects buying from you as their idea without any pushing, convincing, persuading, right? Or any old school sales tactics that used to work but no longer work because today's buyers are clued up to them. They're wise to them all. Okay. Sales has changed. Okay. And today's session is really right in there in terms of sales has changed. Sales is about change. Okay. You are only ever selling change. Everything you want your prospects to do involves a change, right? And what's the old phrase? People don't like change. Well, I'm not sure that's true. I would say people don't like being changed. People don't like having change forced on them. Yeah, certainly that applies to me. Those of you that are with us, type in the chat. You agree with that? Type a yes if you do. People don't like being changed. We'll willingly change if it's our idea to change. Yeah. What about this one? I believe that, in my experience over six decades of selling, tells me that if the fear of changing, okay, is bigger than the fear of staying the same, people won't change. Agree with that? Put a yes in the comments. If the fear of changing is bigger than the fear of staying the same, people won't change. That's the key here. That's the key to persuasion is stop selling the idea that change is going to be easy. The change is going to be great. The change is going to be all good news, all downhill, no problems. Because that's not right. And they don't believe it. Our prospects don't believe the change is going to be easy. They believe that staying as they are is the easiest option, even though they've got problems with where they are. The belief is staying as I am will be the easiest option because they've come to tolerate the pain that they're feeling. Okay. When it comes to them using the alternative to your solution, right? The alternative to your product, your service. They're currently using its alternative, right? And there's something wrong with its alternative, otherwise they wouldn't be speaking to you. So the current alternative to your solution has limitations. Okay. It's not fully satisfying. That's why they're speaking to you. Okay. So they're only going to change, willingly change, choose to change, if the fear of staying as they are is greater than the fear of changing. And that's the trick these days, 21st century selling. That's the trick, guys, is to make the fear of staying as they are bigger than the fear of changing. By exposing the truth, by revealing the truth, by surfacing the truth. Okay? Not by bullshitting them. Okay? Not by any manipulative tactics or techniques that create a false reality, but by showing them the truth that doing nothing is more painful than changing. How do you do that? Well, this brings us right on to the title of today's session, which is about getting people to talk. Old school sales, 1900 sales, 20th century selling was really hinged on the belief The better you were as a talker, the better a talker you were, the more articulate you were, the more flowing you were. The gift of the gab, that phrase was born in the 20th century. If you got the gift of the gab, you'd be a good salesperson. If you were a good talker, you'd sell more. And there was some truth in that. It was all about how much passion and enthusiasm and energy you had. And the better you were at talking, the more sales you'd make. Well, that's now the reverse. The reverse is true today. The better you are at listening, the more sales you make. You don't talk people into buying from you today. You listen them into buying from you. Why? Well, we've had a number of things change, but two huge changes. One is the internet revolution. Okay. The information and knowledge is power. Back in the 20th century, the salespeople had all the knowledge about products, the competitors, the alternatives, the prices, the specification, the marketplace. Salespeople had all the information. Customers didn't. So they trusted salespeople for the knowledge. That's reversed. Buyers now have all the knowledge, if not more knowledge than salespeople today. So that balance of power has shifted. Secondly, we're now in a post-COVID world. COVID reversed and reset our motives back to basic human needs. Today, people want to buy from somebody with ethics, with integrity, who listens to them, who makes them feel seen, heard, and empathically understood, who connects with them, someone they trust and who can respect, someone who validates them, makes them feel power, makes them feel control, makes them feel right. Yeah, that's what today is about when it comes to persuasion. It's complete reverse. And same when it comes to talking and listening. We've already established 20th century selling was based on the principle that the better you are at talking, the more sales you'll make. Well, today, when you're listening, when somebody else is talking and you're listening, you're doing three things. One, you're comprehending what they're saying. So you're taking in the message and comprehending it, making sense of it. Second, you've got an internal dialogue going on, which is, do I agree with it? How do I feel about what they're saying? And third, you're thinking about your response. How are you going to respond? Those three things tie up all your thinking. That ties up all your attention and conscious energy into thinking. And whilst you're thinking, you can't be feeling. You can't think and feel at the same time. You're doing one or the other. So whilst you're thinking, you can't be feeling. And if you're not feeling, you can't be buying, because we can only make decisions when we feel emotion. We can only buy when we feel emotion. So if I'm tying up my prospects with thinking by talking at them constantly, if I'm doing most of the talking, they're doing all of the thinking and they're not feeling, because all their attention is caught up in those three things: comprehending the message, thinking about whether they agree with it, what are their thoughts and feelings about what I'm saying, and thirdly, their response. So all their attention is tied up in thinking. They can't be feeling. So we've got to flip the script today. You want to be good at selling today, you've got to flip the script and you've got to get your prospects doing the talking. Because when they're talking, they're getting rid of thoughts. Okay, they're expelling thoughts. They're eliminating thoughts. They're getting thoughts out, which means feelings can rise. The more they talk, the more they'll feel. Yeah? Yeah, that phrase when people say, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. Why? Because they know they'll start feeling stuff if they start talking about it. Okay? There's the giveaway. So get people talking. What about? About their pain, about how their current alternative to your solution is performing, is limited, how it's leaving them short of their goals, how it's unsatisfactory. What are the problems with the current alternative to your solution? Get them talking about their pain. Then they'll start feeling. Get them talking about their pain, the history of the pain, the root cause of the pain, the impact of the pain, the cost of the pain, the implications of doing nothing and continuing to live with the pain. Get them talking about all of that and telling you the truth about it. Then move on to their goals. What do they want instead of the pain? What are their hopes and dreams? What are their goals? What do they want? What's their desired outcomes and why? Why are those desired outcomes important to them? What will achieving those goals help them to be, do, and have, which they haven't got now? And what's that worth to them? What's the value of moving from the pain to the pleasure? I call this the P to P discovery, pain to pleasure discovery, where you're creating a psychological gap between where they are now and where they want to be. Okay. So that's how you get your customers buying. You get them talking about their pain and their goals. Then they'll start feeling the pain they need to feel to make them want to change. Because this is how you make change more costly than, so how you make change less costly than staying as they are. How you make staying as they are less attractive than changing. How you make the fear of staying as they are bigger than the fear of changing. You get them talking about their pain, talking about their goals. You establish a gap between the pain and their goals. The bigger the gap, the more desire there is to solve that, to cross that bridge. The more urgency there is, and the more value there is in crossing it. So today, the skill, 21st century selling, the skill is get people talking about their pain and their goals. That gets them feeling. That gets them wanting to move from pain to pleasure. That gets them wanting to change. And then the crowning glory is if the cost of changing over time is less than the cost of staying as they are, they will buy, they will change. Now, how do you do that? How do you get them talking? Questions. Questions are the superpower of sales in the 21st century. And more so than ever before, you'll feel that in 2025. It used to be all about the pitch. The better the pitch, how good's your pitch? I've got my pitch nailed. I've learnt my pitch. I've got my script. It was all about the pitch. Now it's about your questions. Have you got a list of killer questions? It's all about the quality and the impact of your questions that get them talking about their pain and their goals, that establishes the psychological gap between where they are and where they want to be, that establishes all the desire and establishes the implications of change versus the implications of staying as they are, the consequences of change versus the consequences of staying as they are, the cost of change versus the cost of inaction, or the COI. Right? Salespeople are in the habit of selling the ROI. What might happen if you change? Stop selling them. Sell what will happen if you don't change. Cost of inaction, far more compelling than the ROI. Okay, so questions are the superpower. And today, I'm going to introduce you to 5 superpowers of questions. Okay, so these are the 5 categories of questions. Okay, that will set you apart from all your competitors in 2025. These are the mastery of these 5 categories of questions will put you in a position where you are day to day, you'll be experiencing 1 in every 2 of your prospects buying from you. 1 in every 2. That's 50% conversion. They'll be buying from you rather than you trying to convince or persuade them. All right. How does that sound? 50% conversion. Them buying from you as their own idea. Sound good? That's going to be down to your mastery of these 5 categories of questions. Okay. So let's cover them one at a time. Okay. Now you'll have heard some of these. You'll have certainly heard the first 2. Okay. Let's just quickly run you through the list. So the first one is open questions. The second is closed questions. The third category is if calibrated questions. The fourth category is no calibrated questions. And the 5th category is mirrors and labels. All right. Now just type in the chat a yes if you've heard of some of those. Yeah, yes. And I guess it's open and closed questions that you've heard of. for, right? Just type in a yes if it's open and closed questions. Anybody heard of the if questions, the no questions, or the mirrors and labels? One or two have. Okay, right. Let's take them one at a time. All right, let's do a little coaching, a little training session on each of these categories of questions. Okay, and how they're going to fit into your conversation. Because the purpose of this training today is to get you to create your own master list of master questions that get your buyers talking about their pain and their goals. Okay. Once you've got that master list, your sales will change. Your results will change. Okay. Cool. So, right. Number one, open questions. Open questions are questions that get you more information. All right. These are questions that get people talking to you, giving you information, right? More than just a yes or a no. You can't say yes or no to an open question. Why? Because they start with one of 6 words. All right. And how do you remember these words? I remember these words from a famous Rudyard Kipling quote. And that quote is, I had 6 honest serving men. They taught me all I knew. Their names were what and where and when and why and how and who. Okay. I had 6 honest serving men. They taught me all I knew. Their names were what and where and when and why and how and who. What, where, when, why, how, who. When you start a question with one of those words, your counterpart can't say yes or no to you. They have to give you information. What, where, when, why, how, who. Now, let's just run through a few of these. And I'm going to reveal some of the questions that are in my master list of questions when I interview somebody or meet somebody on a Zoom call to find out about their current sales problems and whether they need help with their sales, with their sales process, with their selling skills, so I can get them some coaching. So these are my go-to questions. So let's see how open questions feature. Okay, so the first thing I ask is, great, what motivated you to meet with me today, John? That's a what question. Open question, what? What motivated you to meet with me today? John's got to give me information. He's got to give me reasons he wanted to see me, reasons he showed up, motives. It's really important to me. Next thing I ask is, okay, John, thank you. And what's the most important thing you want to accomplish in our time together today? So the number one takeaway you want to achieve by the time we've finished. Yeah. Another what question. It's got to give me a goal. It's got to give me something he wants to achieve, an outcome. And then the next question is, why is that important to you? Why is achieving that important to you? How? So there's a why. How is achieving that going to help you, John? They'll tell me. Now I understand why he wants to learn that skill on our call today. Why he wants that outcome. How that outcome is going to help him. So those are 4 key open questions. What, why, how are my first few questions. Okay. I had 6 honest serving men. They taught me all I knew. The names were what and where and when and why and how and who. Okay. So, guys, type in one killer open question that you ask or should be asking at the start of your meetings with people, with your prospects. One of the first questions you should be asking. Just type in using what, where, when, why, how, who. Okay, we got some good questions coming through. A lot of you are using what I've just demonstrated back to me. You just turned it around. Great, well done. Okay, so open questions. They get people giving you information. So whenever you want information, you ask an open question. Okay? Next, closed questions. Skill number 2, closed questions. Closed questions now, they have exact opposites. They're the questions that get people giving you a yes or a no. You ask a closed question when you want a yes or a no. So you ask closed questions when you want agreement. When you want agreement, when you seek agreement on a subject or a decision or any debate or on any piece of information, you want to confirm agreement. You ask a no, a closed question, which gets them saying yes or no. Does that make sense? Yes. Is there anything you'd like me to add to that? No. Is this a crazy idea? No. Are you against? No. Would you hesitate? No. So these are all questions you get to say yes or no. You okay to continue? Yes. Are you happy with my answer there? Yes. Would you like me to add to that answer or does it nail it for you? No, it's fine. You've answered it. Yes. Yes. No. Getting yeses or nos to get confirmation. Yeah. So when you want a yes or a no, you ask a closed question. Okay. Now, combination of the two, open questions, closed questions, can be very powerful. Asking an open question to get information and then a closed question to get agreement. So, for instance, let's go back to my opening, the start of most meetings that I have. So, you've just told me, John, that what you want to achieve, that what motivated you to meet with me today is that you're struggling with your sales conversion. You can't improve your conversion better than 1 in 4 of leads to sales, no matter what you do. You're stuck at 1 in 4. You know you're better than that. Okay. And what you want by the end of the call today is you want to get a game plan for how I could help you increase your conversion from 1 in 4 to 1 in 2, if possible. You want to know what that looks like, exactly what that looks like, and a proposal, and for us to talk about how it could happen, how we could make that happen. Yes, because if you can do that, you'll double your sales and double your income. Am I right? Yes. I've just took the open questions I asked earlier, turned them back, summarized them, and asked, so this is what you want? Yes. Am I right? Yes. I've asked closed questions to get agreement. There's the combination of open questions to get information, closed questions to get agreement. Now, a lot of this stuff you'll do without thinking, but sometimes you'll get it wrong, or you'll miss the fact that combinations, like I've just demonstrated, are so powerful. Open questions for information, closed questions to get agreement. So there's open questions and closed questions. Verse 2. Now, most salespeople, especially from the 20th century, if you've had sales training throughout the decades, you've probably come across open and closed questions before. But hopefully that was a good recap. Now, the next 3 categories of questions, you'll have had less, if any, introduction. Number 3, category 3 is if calibrated questions. Now, if calibrated questions are super powerful to test where your prospects are at, to test how ready they are to proceed, to test for the presence of objections, doubts, concerns, fears, to expose uncertainty. Equally, to test certainty, to test readiness to change, to test readiness to make decisions. If calibrated questions really do get you the truth about whether somebody's ready to move forward or whether they've still got concerns or whether there's uncertainty that you need to turn into certainty. And the reason if calibrated questions are so powerful is because they're hypothetical. When you start a question with if, what it means is just supposing, let's pretend, imagine. It means imagine, let's pretend, just supposing, hypothetically speaking. That's what if means. It means it's safe to answer. It's safe to answer a hypothetical question than it is a real question. So it removes risk and it makes it easy to answer. That's the psychological power of an if question. Okay? So often, what I will ask as one of my go-to if questions is I'll say to a customer, I'll say, okay, now let's assume we can get this game plan going for you. And we can do so in a way that you can see the long-term value. That for you, the long-term value is there. You've got no doubts about the long-term value. And that the long-term value is far bigger than the price you'll pay for my coaching. Let's assume that we can do that. That you can see that the long-term value is far bigger than the price you'll pay today for my coaching. If you could see that, and if that was the case, would you hesitate? Now, that's an if calibrated question. How I frame that is providing, let's pretend, let's just assume that you had no doubts about the long-term value of this coaching, getting you to where you want to be, doubling your sales, doubling your income. If you were satisfied that that was the case, and that the long-term value was infinitely greater than the price you pay me for my coaching today, would you hesitate? No. I want to test if all I've got to do is demonstrate that long-term value. Is show them how the coaching I'm going to provide to him is going to double his sales, double his conversions, double his sales. I want to test that so long as I can do that, he's ready to move forward. I want to test if there are any other concerns or doubts or reasons for him to hesitate or any other uncertainty. So if I could, would you? Yeah. If I can, will you? If there was a way, would you? If calibrated questions, super powerful. So guys, just turn that around. Take a minute to think about how you could frame an if calibrated question into your sales process. A little bit like I just did. Just have a go at it. Just do it in the chat now. Okay, I've got a couple coming through. Good. If I can make it affordable when you go ahead. Excellent. Excellent. That's good. If there's any reason why you're uncomfortable going ahead, are you happy to tell me today? Terrific. Great turnaround. I like it. Well done, guys. Some good stuff there. That's it. That's if calibrated questions. So just to recap, so we've got 3 categories so far: open questions, closed questions, and if calibrated questions. Now, also, you can combine again. So you start with an if calibrated question, then you can ask an open question at the end of it. Yeah. If I could make this affordable to you, what would be a good next step for you? That's an if calibrated question with an open question at the end. Yeah. If I could make this affordable to you, would you be happy to proceed? Yes or no? That's an if calibrated question with a closed question at the end of it. So again, combinations are key here. Practice them, think about them, write them down, engineer and craft your own master set of questions that get your clients talking about their pain and take them from pain to pleasure, and use open to get information, closed to get agreements, and if calibrated questions to test for readiness, test for uncertainty, test for certainty, and expose areas where you need to help them further to become more certain. Good so far? You're getting some value from this so far? Just drop a yes in the comments if you are. Yes, yes, yes. Great. Good stuff, guys. Okay. Let's move on to number 4. Number 4 is no calibrated questions. Okay. Now, this one, super powerful. They all are, but super powerful, number 4. And this comes from, again, it's another opposite dynamic to how things were in the 20th century, back in the 1900s. The 1900s, we were taught to get people saying yes, right? Yes, momentum was a big phrase. Get people saying yes. Trial closing was very trendy in the 20th century. And it still has its place now, but it's changed in terms of the skills you need to use, which I'm going to demonstrate now. So, yeah, we were taught to ask questions that get people saying yes, because the more they say yes in quick succession, the more likely they are to say yes to the final question. Would you like to go ahead? Yes. Yes, 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 yes. It's good, isn't it? That's what you wanted, didn't you? yes. You said that was important, didn't you? Yes, 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 yes. You keep them saying yes. Now, over the decades, buyers have become smarter. As we've established, they've got all the power these days. Not only have they got the information that salespeople used to have before the internet, but one other thing the internet has brought about is the sharing and exposing of sales techniques. So there's chat rooms, there's consumer groups, there's forums, and there's information, discussion rooms, feedback rooms, groups on sales techniques, on exposing sales techniques, on exposing the psychology of selling and all the tactics, and books and courses, and the whole social media world exploded with all the secrets of persuasion coming out. So 20th century persuasion has been well and truly exposed. So therefore, when you start asking customers questions that get them to say yes, yes, yes in succession, one yes after another, they notice it. They know what's happening. And today, forcing somebody or putting somebody in a position where they feel like they've got to say yes, they notice it and they resent it. So even if they are saying yes, they'll do it through gritted teeth. You said that was important, didn't you? Yes. I'm sure you'll agree that's going to be a benefit to you, isn't it? Yes. They'll say yes, but they'll resent it. So it'd be an external yes that you've forced, but an internal no. So that's today a red flag. It's forcing people to say yes. What you do today is you flip it into a no calibrated question. And you ask questions that get people to say no. But where no is a positive no, it's a go ahead no, it's a move forward no. So instead of asking, are you okay to learn more about this? Would you like to learn more about this? You say, are you against learning more about how this might work? No, not against that. Would you like to try this? Is there any reason we shouldn't move forward? Is there any reason we shouldn't try this? Do you have any objections to trying this? Do you have any objections to us discussing this? Rather than would you like to discuss this? Is it okay if we discuss this? Do you have any objections if we discuss this? Do you think this is a good idea? Is this a bad idea? Is this a crazy idea? No. Any objections to discussing this? No. Any reason we shouldn't go ahead and book a second meeting? No. Ask a question that gets them to say no. If we can get the, again, if calibrated question with a no calibrated question. If we can get the price right, would you hesitate? If we can make this affordable to you, any reason why you wouldn't want to go ahead? No. Rather than, if I can get the price right, are you happy to proceed? They feel pressured to say yes. If I can get the price right and the long-term value is there for you, for any reason you'd hesitate? No. That's far more powerful than, if I can get the price right, would you go ahead? Yes. So no calibrated questions. Super powerful. When you give somebody the opportunity of saying no, psychologically, they feel like they've been allowed to decide. They feel like they've made a decision. No centers them. No gives them a feeling of control, a feeling of power. So flip it. Go through and take an inventory of all the questions you ask where you're asking people to say yes, and find a way of flipping it so that it gets them to say no, but the no is a positive no. Any reason you couldn't do that? No. Just did it. Right. Type in the chat. Give me one question. Just fire it straight back. One question you could ask your prospects to get them to tell you how ready they are to proceed. That's a no calibrated question. Go for it now. Okay, great. Is there anything stopping you from proceeding? Are there any reasons this won't work for you? Are you against moving forward? Can you think of one reason why this won't help you? Great, good questions. Great. So again, Take the time after this call to go through your entire sales call, your typical sales conversation, guys, and go through open questions to get information. Where do I ask them? What can I ask? How can I use what, where, when, why, how, who to get information better? Close questions. How can I build the closed questions in with the open questions, combine the two to then get agreement after I've got information? Third, how can I ask if calibrated questions to test readiness, to test certainty, test uncertainty? Yeah, to test how well I'm doing. Four, how can I ask no calibrated questions to get agreement, to get people moving forward in a way that they don't feel resentful being forced to give me a yes. They feel good being allowed to give me a no. They feel like it's their decision. Good. That's 4 out of 5. Now, the fifth questioning superpower is something called mirrors and labels. Okay. Now, these are not necessarily questions as such, but they are questioning techniques. Okay. Super powerful questioning techniques. And a mirror is when you want more information, but you don't ask for it outright with a typical question. What you do is you repeat back the last few words that your counterpart has said to you as a question. Now, I use this particularly with objections. Okay, when I want more information, I want to know what's going on, but I don't want to ask a question for them to feel as if I'm questioning them, but I want more information. So if somebody says, okay, I need to think about it. I'll say, I'll mirror back as a question. You need to think about it. Yeah, it's a big decision. It's a lot of money. I've got more information. I think it's now I'm being told it's got something to do with money, as opposed to necessarily them wanting to think about it. And I'll mirror again. I want more information. So I'll say, it's a lot of money. Yeah, it's more than I was thinking of. Now I've got some real information by using two mirrors. Now I can use a label. And a label is what a similar thing. It's not a question, but it gets more information. So a label is when I say it seems like, or it sounds like, or it feels like. Okay, and I label what I'm hearing. So let's just recap this. They've said, I want to think about it. I need to think about it. Can I think about it? And I'll say, you need to think about it. Yeah, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. Yeah, it's more than I was thinking of. Now I'm going to use a label. I've got the information I need. Now I want to find out what's really going on. So I'll say, it sounds like you're comparing it with something. Sounds like you had an amount in mind that you wanted to invest in coaching. Yeah. Well, then now it sounds like you had an amount in, sounds like you're comparing it with a number you had in mind. Sounds like you're comparing it with something. Well, yeah, I was thinking, then they'll tell me what the reality is, how much they were thinking. They'll tell me what was in their mind. Now I can deal with that. Yeah. I can now use an if calibrated question. I'd say, okay, if you could see the value and you could see that this was worth investing and you were going to get 10 times this value over time, minimum in return, would you hesitate? No. See, I've just used an if calibrated question with a no calibrated question together after mirrors and labels. See how they come together? Powerful, powerful stuff. I've used them all there. I've used two mirrors and a label. I want to think about it. You want to think about it? One mirror. Yeah, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. Two mirrors. Yeah, I was thinking it'd be a lot less than that. Sounds like you had a number in mind, the label. Yeah, I was thinking it would be, or I've had quotes that are about this amount, or I was thinking it'd be about this amount. Now I'm going to go in with if and a no calibrated open question. Okay, if you could see that what I'm asking is going to give you the results you need, and the long term value is going to be at least 10 times what you invest today. If you were satisfied that you're going to make 10 times what you invested with me today, at least, would you hesitate? if, would, you hesitate, yes or a no question. It's a no calibrated question after if. So I've used two mirrors, a label, an if question, and a no calibrated question, all in there. No, I wouldn't hesitate. Okay, now I know what I've got to do. So labels, mirrors, are where you repeat back the last three words of what they've said as a question. Labels are when you label what you're hearing. It sounds like, it feels like, it looks like, and then they'll give you a bit more confirmation of what's really going on. So let's just recap. You've got 5 superpowers of questions. Okay. Why do you need to learn them? Because you've got to get your prospects talking. When your prospects are talking, they start feeling. And when they're feeling, they start buying. But if you're doing the talking and they're listening, they can't do anything more than think. And their thinking is totally occupied when they're listening. When you're talking and they're listening, they're doing 3 things when they listen. They're listening, actively listening to your words, comprehending them. They're talking internally to themselves about whether they agree with it and how they feel about what you're saying. And they're preparing a response. That means all their attention, all their consciousness is taken up in thinking. And whilst they're thinking, they can't be feeling. And whilst they're not feeling, they won't ever be buying. So if you're talking and they're listening, they're not feeling, they're thinking. And if they're not feeling, they won't be buying. So the more you talk, the less they buy. You get them talking. The more they talk, the emptier their thoughts become, the more their feelings arise. They start feeling, they start buying, especially if they're talking about their pain and their goals. What's wrong with where they are now and why they want to change, what they want to change to, and how it's going to feel when they get there and what it's worth to them. A pain to pleasure, pain to pleasure movements, that gap, the psychological gap between where they are and where they want to be. That's where all the power is, establishing that pain to pleasure. When you're building that, constructing that with questioning, and they're talking about their pain and their goals, their pain and the present pain and their future desired goals, desired outcome, when they're talking about that, they're feeling it. They're feeling emotion. And when they're feeling, they're buying. How do you get them talking? Questions. 5 questioning skills. Open questions. What, where, when, why, how, who. I had 6 honest serving men. They taught me all I knew. Their names were what and where and when and why and how and who. Open questions to get information. Closed questions to get agreement, yes or no. If calibrated questions, starting with if makes it hypothetical, safe to answer. If calibrated questions, test for uncertainty, test for certainty, test for readiness to proceed, test for doubts, concerns, fears, hesitancy, test for objections, tell you where you are. Number 4, no calibrated questions. Questions that get customers saying no instead of yes. They resent being forced to say yes, but they feel like you've allowed them to make a decision if you ask for a no, especially when it's a positive no. So take all the questions you have in your inventory that force people to say yes, where you want a yes, flip them so that you're asking and inviting a no, but the no is a positive no. And 5th, mirrors and labels. Mirrors, repeat back the last 3 to 5 words they say as a question to get you more information. Labels, it sounds like, it seems like, it feels like, it looks like. Finish the statement in order to label what you feel might be going on, and they'll give you more information. Combine all 5, open, closed, if, no, mirrors and labels. Practice all 5. You'll become a master of questioning skills. Your buyers won't feel like they're being questioned. They'll feel like you're learning. You're there to find out where they're at, find out what they're about. They'll feel like you're there to get them, to understand them. They'll feel empathically understood. They'll feel seen and heard. It's all about them, their pain and their goals. That's all they care about. That's all they care about, them and their future, not you and your past. Master these questions. Create a master question list throughout your whole sales conversation. Make sure you're doing 80% of the talking. Sorry, 80% of the listening. You're doing 20% of the talking. They're doing 80% of the talking because you're just asking questions. You're doing 80% of the listening. Yeah. That's a flip of the script from how it used to be back in the day. You were doing 80% of the talking. Now you're doing 20% of the talking. They're doing 80% of the talking. They're talking about their pain and their goals. More people will buy from you as their own idea. So there it is, guys. Your 5 categories of questions, the superpower for 2025. Now, I'll take your questions and we'll go through all of your Q&A, and we'll even take a few hot seats. If you're ready for that, guys, you want to do a few hot seats where you can come up and we'll design some of these questions based on your sales process. Let's do so now. All right. Whilst we're doing that, preparing for that, I'm just going to take a quick break, 2-minute break, and then we'll come back with the Q&A and the hot seats. And for those of you that want to join the Inception Sales Club for free, to get weekly sessions like this free of charge, to get all the recordings, to get day-to-day online sales training programs that you can access free of charge, and to get day-to-day sales support, Q&A, tools and resources on demand, and let me know in the chat, and I'll drop you the Inception Sales Club link on the school app for you to join free of charge and start getting day-to-day free sales coaching, training, and sales support on me with my compliments, so that you can get the mindset, skill set, and tool set for sales success in 2025. Drop Inception Sales Club, drop that request for the link in the chat now if you want, and I'll put the link in the chat so you can all join. And I'll see you after this 2-minute break, and we'll get into the Q&A and the hot seats. Okay, guys? See you shortly.